internet. It's Zeg and Zeg alone in Factorio, and holy shit, immediate action. Turns out that since I started mining down here, the aliens have got wind of my mining operation and decided to come and attack this one bit of wall. It's probably just one alien, since only one bit of wall is getting attacked. Oh, it's a spitter. Look at it go. Okay, well that means I need some guns down here. Am I carrying any? Oh, I'm carrying one singular gun. Well, that'll do for now. Okay, so as I mentioned at the end of the last episode, I've really got to finish building this goddamn smelter. It's taking so freaking long. I keep getting distracted by all kinds of things. But we're more or less there, because I've got the mine set up. And I've got the rails set up. So really all I'm doing is just transferring all the smelting equipment from over here, putting it over there. I'll grab some more guns also while I'm remembering. Guns. Am I carrying my robots? I'm not, am I? They're in the car. This is the problem with solar-powered robots, is that you don't want to... Because normally I'd just pull the robots out of the armour to disable them, but then I'd be wasting that huge amount of energy. And it takes so long to charge up. So let's make sure I don't accidentally try and disassemble the boxes. Give me all these parts, and I'm also going to need to put some power back up. And we can take pretty much all of this. No. Also, you're going to need a power line there, apparently. Oh, that's pretty much all the battery charge. So no more robots for a little while. Alright, so I'm also going to need some more ammo for these extra guns that I'm about to place. Let's get these set up. Okay, good. And now we need to head on back up to the smelters. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, robots in the car. So let's attempt to finish up building all this manually while I'm waiting for my robots to recharge. Fortunately, it's not too complicated. So the first one's iron, the second one's steel, third one will be copper, then the fourth one will be stone, I guess. Yeah, stone. So let's put these in. And we know that the iron one is absolutely going to need to be twice as long, so put all these in as well. Move the car out of the way. And that is this blueprint. Whoop. Hopefully the throughput on the iron belt probably won't be enough, so that will probably have to be upgraded to red, which means I probably will have to change this arrangement, but that should be fine. What would be an easy way to do that? Well, if I do it from both sides, maybe. Yeah, I can do it with the underground belts here, and then split upwards. That makes more sense. Actually, I guess that's just a better arrangement in general, isn't it? Can't really do it for the coal, but as I said, the coal should be plenty fast enough just on one belt, I think. That would be my guess anyway. And change this to red. Okay. Okay, now let's bring in the iron train. And also build a whole bunch of power poles. I buggered up my signalling somewhere, haven't I? Oh no, wait, I just didn't actually give it the actual station. That would help if I told it to go anywhere. Okay. So, underground belts. Let's see how well this goes. Or whether I'm going to need to upgrade all of the belts to red. Well, it looks like it's going to get most of the way down that line. I mean, I'd expect it to, because that one red belt is equivalent to 2 yellow belts, and that's the same number of smelters I was running in the other base. So that looks fine for now. And now we'll also check whether the steel will work. I'll probably just stick all these extra furnaces down at the bottom of the steel and copper line. Because you may as well have them set up. Is this the right one? Yeah. We'll probably want more copper than steel initially. Wait, that's not the right one, is it? I need the other blueprint. Okay, now I'll finish up this little bit of input. Lay down all the arms. And power it. Okay, sweet. That seems to be working too. So there's not much more to say about this. It's probably just going to be some more sped up footage. Finish building the copper line, cut into the trees and lay out the stone line. Set up 2 more trains for stone and copper. And then we can get onto some actual building a bus and laying out some base. I was also thinking about, I'm likely going to want stations for loading the plates after the smelters, which I'm thinking will probably come in maybe down here. Just off the bottom of the smelting line, we'll run a belt down here and make a loading station down on this side of the junction. Because if I'm going to do my normal plan, I'll probably have this base as the component base. Well, not really component, like buildings, just general stuff base. And then I'll have the labs and the maybe oil factory separate. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I do usually like to keep stuff separated, just because I like having trains. It's just slightly more interesting, and it makes it easier to lay stuff out if you can just not have to cram every resource into one big mess. Just have an input belt coming from a train station is much easier than having the production and the actual manufacturing stuff all in one place. So that's basically the plan. And now some sped up footage will commence. Right, we're back. You may have noticed, if you'd been paying reasonably close attention to all that sped up footage, that I spent quite a long time just standing around, not doing much, looking at the map, pausing the game. That was thinking time. I was considering my actual plan, and I realised that I probably need to not do what I was originally going to do, or what I usually used to do in the previous patches, because normally I'd ship the resources out to a lab and then have the lab be separate and basically have like a mini factory that would make all the components for the science packs and then make the science packs and then feed them into the labs. But looking at the numbers now, especially with the new science packs that have significantly more resources in them, I mean, like this one, pump jacks and engine units, it's quite a lot of resources just there. So considering that, I was thinking what I probably need to do is invert my plan and make this bus coming directly out of the smelter to make this the lab, and then use trains to deliver the resources to the factory that makes all the buildings and all the other stuff, which I'll probably put down here where my temporary oil factory is. I'll use this area as the small base for making stuff, and use that oil deposit to supply the small amount of oil that it will need for lubricant and plastic for stuff like making red circuits for the electric furnaces and making lubricant for the belts. And probably still have an oil input station down there as well, because I imagine those free deposits aren't going to be sufficient even for that. And then up in the lab area, I'll probably, on this side of the rail, instead of having the loading points like I was thinking of having over there, now that I've got them on this side, I'll probably put an oil refinery on this side of the rail, and then just pipe it across into sort of, I guess, along the bus maybe? I don't know, something like that. That would probably make sense, probably. And it also means that I can not worry quite so much about this area now, since I'm not really at the point where I can do much research anyway until I get everything up and running. I would be better off building the train network down to the temporary oil base, demolishing that, rebuilding it into the production base, and then after I've got that up and running, then I can start work on the new labs. So that sounds like a plan. And yeah, I guess there's not much more to say about that. And that will be happening probably in the next episode. Oh, and one more thing to mention just before I end this episode. I did a very brief bit of off-camera experimentation with the fluid tankers, fluid wagons, just to see how they worked. And it seems like, unlike the cargo wagons, which you can apply filters to, it doesn't seem like you can filter the fluid wagons, which might be a problem if you want to use a station that deals with multiple different fluid inputs, or well, not a station that deals with multiple different fluid inputs, more like a station that has, well, if you imagine this arrangement where I've got 3 stations in a row that trains stop at consecutively, that might not work with fluid, because if it stops at the first station and it unnecessarily gets like lubricant in it when it's meant to have sulfuric acid or whatever, and then goes to the next station and there's also already sulfuric acid in it, or lubricant, whichever I said, that would probably mess things up, so you might have to be a little bit careful about that. You can, though, separate the fluid wagon into 3 segments, so it has 3 tanks in a line, because it's made of 3 storage tanks. And there's a UI element for the storage wagon that lets you separate those tanks into 3 separate separate storages, so you can have up to 3 different things shipped by one train. So that could theoretically be useful, except I don't know about whether that would be useful for most of the stuff that I'm getting to do, because I'm probably only going to be shipping just crude oil and sulfuric acid once I get into uranium mining. Probably not going to need to ship any of the other stuff, so that may or may not turn out to be any use at all, but it's a nice feature. And yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Social stuff, deploy, and then I'll try and remember what it says. happysalad.net is our website where the podcast lives. and some text and reposts of the YouTube channel videos just to let you know. There's Facebook, which is facebook.com/happysalad. Probably. I still don't ever remember. And there's the Twitter @saladcast. That one I do remember. Now, I've said it sufficiently. And that's it for this video. See you next time.